Have you started revising today's contents? So I hope, let me just find out where you are, types. So today you know what all we did. So have you, you know there are different projects which I have supplied. I've given exactly all instructions. So Spring Boot with Web App, JSP based view layer. This main thing was form binding. So have you completed this? This update thing is the later work, but have you at least done the revision of form binding, two-way form binding, POJO, POJO properties to form data, and form data to POJO? You've done this? Okay. So has everyone completed this? Now, in this was a major thing of today. I have introduced, if you open day 20 employee backend, this you can test it with, you know what all we tested, like with the postman and all. So validation, at valid and the POJO annotation, and centralized exception handling. So have you completed this or are you still here? Tell me. Doing it or done? Second point, you are doing this? Okay, fine, fine. So that's okay. So you let me know. And if you require any of my help, do let me know. And then you are going to go through this. I have explained, I have shared this code as in the ready-made manner. And you are going to do this first. And then we are going to continue to writing a REST template. So continue, please. Anywhere you need help, do let me know. Involve me. This is a compulsory assignment for everyone. In addition to that, any question you have, whatever we have done earlier and all, do let me ask. Let me know, like wherever there is problem. Net binding result. Yes, Mohammed. Because think of it this way. Let me ask you, when will Spring Container throw method argument not valid exception? Only in case whatever data, whatever payload user is sending, front end is sending, that is not matching or that is not able to, what you say, there is some problem in the front end data which is sent to the back end. So that is when the concept of a binding between the JSON data which is coming to your POJO properties can come. That is why the method only exists for method argument not valid. It is not part of runtime exception. What you can do is just open Spring Framework, open method argument not valid exception, and you will see the method there. But you understood the reason behind? It is specifically for constraint violation or that binding error. That's why it is available. Continue. In case you have more questions to ask. Lombok is not working. So did you try, Ashutosh, all the things which I said? Because like I said, I can take a look at I can ask you to do the screen sharing. But other than that article, even I don't have any, clue where it is. So I'll suggest something. Mm, how many STS you have? Only one copy of STS you have, STS 3.9.16? Or do you have multiple Eclipse IDs? Only one. So did you specify the location in that Lombok jar? Whenever you double click on it and it says, sometimes it doesn't detect your thing. And after that you have, what do you say, restarted the Eclipse ID and all that again. Okay, so in that case, I don't have really any other clue because even in other batch, other training, for some of the students, it wasn't somehow working. So what I told them and what finally worked for them, luckily, is I told them to download Eclipse again to a yet another location. You can maybe go for the later version, 3.9.17, and specify that location in the Lombok jar. But it is a time-consuming affair. So I would say, Ashutosh, go without Lombok currently. And later, when you have free time, you can do this exercise. You understood what I'm saying? Okay, try that out. So let's see whether it is working with some other Eclipse ID, some other version of Eclipse ID. Okay, continue. Can we iterate through the list, iterator enumeration? Yes, but why you want iterator enumeration, Mohammed, when you have a higher order function such as for each? So I don't know where this question came from. It's a core Java question, to be very honest. So the answer to that question is yes, but you don't require either of it when you have for each function. MCQ, yeah. So I thought it. So answer is yes. Open enumeration. It is not enum they are saying, Mohammed. They are talking about java.util.enumeration. So it has a method. While, you can say like this, attach. It's not list, it is a vector. You can attach the enumeration to vector. So in vector, you can say there's a method. I forgot the method name. You can look up that. And then there is a method has next element, sorry, has more elements, and you can iterate. Okay. Yeah, this one, Mohammed. The method name I was not remembering. So in the list, there is no method, but in vector, there is a method called as elements. So open Java docs, vector, open vector class. Vector class has the method elements. So yes, you can attach enumeration, but not to the array list. Lombok specific properties के लिए भी constructor. Did not understand your question, Kunal. Ask me more specifically. I've given them. Or specific properties के लिए. Okay, there is a constructor called as, there is an argument called as, sorry, annotation called as required argument constructor. At the rate, like how we have no args, we have all args, there is a required argument. But instead of using that, what I have found easier is add a constructor for whatever fields we want. That works out to be simpler. Understood me, Kunal? Yeah. But the answer to the question is yes, there is annotation required argument constructor. DTO is a data transfer object, just a Java class. Pushkarash, I can't explain DTO vague. So I'm waiting for everyone to tell me that they have reached till this. Okay. See here, this is the good chance for me to explain the DTO pattern. So you tell me guys, not just Pushkarash, anyone, you let me know as quickly as possible so that, we will get time and we can finish things properly. So you let me know till you reach the fourth point. We can, this tryout thing, we can do it together. In short, I'm just waiting for you to go through first 1, 2, 3 points. You can start. Shubham is saying start. Anyone wants me to wait? Tell me before I this, because that will give you a, like Pushkaraj was asking, this is a new pattern for you, data transfer object. So you'll get a this. Okay, so nobody's asking me to wait. So we can start. Just a second. And that will definitely give you some more insight in doing things. So let me open that. Okay. So let me start asking you from the earlier point. Has everyone imported net banking REST server as a RESTful web service endpoint? And have you gone through this first authentication endpoint? So you are familiar with the code. Okay, great. So let me just open that. Let me just check this. So I'll not now make copies and all that. I will upload it as this. So now read the question, read the problem statement properly. Okay, so here is the question. I don't know whether you have read it or not. So here, this is not required for my REST template demo, but I did so many things in the morning. So I just want to see whether you have understood it. And trust me, it has validation, it has global exception handling, plus it has DTO and writing a endpoint, plus it has ER. ER is what? Entity to entity relationship. Which relationship I'm talking about? The unidirectional many-to-one relationship between account and a customer. And you will be requiring lot of practice of such stuff. Okay, so that was my attempt. So is the requirement clear? Add the new endpoint for creating new account for existing customer. So customer is already registered in my bank, but customer wants to open maybe an FD type of account. So that is it. Is the requirement clear, guys? Question is clear? Respond. Okay, next one. So I have given the JSON payload means what is it you are going to accept it from the front end. Later you can design for your React practice, you can design the front end for such things also. I have given you the basic employee CRUD, but I have not done more than that. So you can practice that. So what are the inputs? If a customer wants to open a new account, what all things I have asked you to take it from the user is customer ID, account type, and the opening balance. All the inputs are clear because that is what you will require. Customer ID to link it with the customer and the account type and the account balance. All clear? Since I want to do it, I don't want to, this is a creating a new resource. So which is the HTTP method, which is ideal method for creating new resource? Get, put, post or delete? Everyone knows. It's post, so I use post. Now I'm saying there are literally 10 different ways of solving it. What are those 10? I mean, 10 means, okay, multiple ways. So here you can encapsulate all of this in the bank account entity itself and pass that bank. I mean, pass the JSON for that. But there are, if you read good articles on REST APIs, always they will say, don't expose your entities to the, as the, I would say, to do the data transfer between front end and a back end. So Pushkaraj, now I get my chance. Instead use data transfer object. DTO stands for what? Data transfer object. So start answering my basic questions. This DTO or this data transfer object will be used to transfer the data between what? as the name was, it is a DTO. So it will transfer the data between what and what and what. Tell me. Simple question, simple answer. Okay, employee management to bank. But Girish, we are yet not there because we have yet to write, but you are absolutely correct. So I can say front end to back end, or yeah, server to client is wrong. Okay, no, it is the other way. The client, the REST client to REST server. You got this? But on the other hand, you can also use these DTO. See, so okay, let me call this. This is a request type of a DTO. So Pushkarash, as I said, I'm taking your name because you asked a question, nothing other than that. So if you want to encapsulate some request data in a Java object, that's your data transfer object, request DTO. If I want to, you remember we have created error response. So that error response is also a DTO. In case anything fails, that entire error response, which has timestamp, which has error message, that I'm encapsulating it in it. So it is nothing but a plain old Java object. But when you say Pojo as an entity, that represents a database table. So tell me, are you going to have any database table for account create request? Or is it going to, of course not. It is just going to represent the data which is going to be received as a REST request. And here I have told you, have I given? Oh, I never said the, okay. I never said the output or the response. I forgot. So the response can be the bank account details which are created bank account details. Okay. So, but I can also have, so this is represented by your bank account. Or if you want to stretch this pattern further, you can also say bank account response DTO. Let's keep it as bank account. So data transfer object is exactly like Pojo, only the purpose is to exchange the data between two layers, two REST APIs. Okay. And then, of course, I have asked you to add the validations and all of that. So I would recommend, I mean, see, bottoms up is always better. But for your understanding, for a change, let's try solving it in a, what is it called? Top to down manner. So this is what we are solving. So open your net banking REST server. REST client we will write after this. Okay, so REST server. And where are we? Yeah, so go to bank controller. We are writing it in a top-down manner. So here, add REST endpoint. Always write some comment to create new bank account. So you will start dictating. So what should be the annotation used at the method level? Get mapping, post mapping, put mapping, or delete mapping? Everyone knows the answer, post mapping. And since it is the account as the resource, you can say /bank, but you're not creating a bank. So let's say bank account. This is all like up to you. And then you are going to add. Now comes the question. Do you want to send the resource back or you want to wrap it in a response entity? Resource or RE? Wrap it in the response entity. So here you have response entity. You don't have to worry about the type. So question mark is good. And later we can decide whatever to send. And here I can say create bank account. Okay. So now you will tell me. Otherwise it is like I'm solving the assignment for you. Anyone wants to tell me what will be the argument here? You tell me, I will check. What should be the argument? I already got it. Very good, Prashant. So at request body, but here, Prashant, do you want to blindly accept the data as it is or do you want to validate it also? Validate also. So which additional annotation will require? At valid annotation. Very right, guys. So here, what is at request body used for? Validation purpose or unmarshalling? Unmarshalling. JSON to Java. And what annotation for validation? You know, otherwise I'll keep getting that generic error. You remember server internal error 500 and I don't want it. I want the specific code, bad request or bad request 400. So at valid is must. And then like you said, This is where I had given the suggestion, create account request. I don't have it. We will create it now. Okay. So here it is. Are you clear with this? For your clarity, maybe I thought writing it in a top-down manner can help you. Wherever there is an error, we will remove it. Don't worry. Understood so far completely? No issues, no questions? Great. Now, so here, of course, control one, you can just take a cursor and it is asking you, what do you want to do? Of course, I want to create a class. And since it is a POJO, but not an entity. So here, create a separate package for that. By the way, see, it is like when you say Java like technology or Spring Boot like technology, it is so vast. So there are mapstruct APIs for mapping entities to DTOs also. But all this is totally out of our contents. But currently we are going to do the mapping ourselves, entity to DTO wherever required. So I'm using the package this here. Anyone wants to tell me the data members? You tell me the data members. What will be the data members you would like to add into this POJO? POJO used as data transfer objects, so called as a DTO. Absolutely correct. Customer ID, account type, and this. Absolutely correct. Very right. ID type and balance. Start with this. So should I maintain the same name as the POJO properties, or can I have any what is it? This thing name? Any property name? Any property name is a very right answer. So let's say cust ID, for example. You know, that time it was customer ID. So I'm doing that. Then this is a enum. So account type or something. What is that? Account type. So let's say type and private double balance. Got it so far? This we will match it with our, what is it? With our front end. So currently we will replace the front end by Postman, and then I'll show you the REST template to write the end-to-end application. Okay, so this is it. And if you are, I seriously don't know, because with the IDs, Lombok has to work. It is as clear as that, whether it is IntelliJ or whether it is Eclipse. If it is not working, guys, no issues. Generate a default constructor, generate all args constructor, generate all getters and setters and toString. I'm just doing it with a couple of annotations. No args. Then is the all args. And then is your add data, which is getters, setters, toString. And guys, those who are not using, I mean, for those, unfortunately, Lombok is not working, don't generate hash code equals. We are not going to put it in the set. Anytime you want to add it in the hashing based algorithm, hashing based data structure, then only you'll require. Okay, so done. But if I do this much only, have we added any validation rules on this DTO is equal to POJO properties or not yet? Not yet. So add the rules. So I've given you very easy rules. So if it is a string type, then you can use not empty. Okay, so you can see that char sequence. String is a char sequence or a collection or a map. See, it is so powerful. Even map, array, it will check empty or non-empty. So we are talking about a char sequence. Finish it. This, I think you will get it. So customer ID must be supplied. Cannot be blank, must be supplied something. Now here tell me, this type, is it a character sequence? Is it a, what is it called? String or not string? Of course, it is not a string. It is a enum. So here don't give at not null. I'm so sorry, at not empty. This should not be null. So use any non-string property. Typically use not null annotation. Because see, let me not pass over this statement. It's an important statement. Why? Because soon we will write a JSON payload from Postman. And when you pass it, we will be passing it as what? A string. But that string will be, okay, listen to this. That string, such as saving, current, FD, whatever, DMAT, whatever account types. But who is going to do the parsing from that incoming string to enum? Spring container. So that is why you should not use the at not empty annotation there, not null. So if you give the empty string, the conversion will fail and you'll get a validation exception. So keep it simple. For strings, not empty. For non-string type, not null. So message. So I'm saying account type must be, cannot be blank or must be supplied. You know that. And here, which is the annotation you will use? Everyone knows it, minimum value. So this is, there is a limitation. Okay, you understand this the moment you look at it. The value type is long. So you cannot give the fraction part. You know, long is not a floating type. So they suggest if you really want to precisely, you know, suppose I say 100.5, then the double and float will not do. There is another data type called as big decimal, then you can use that. And then there is an annotation at decimal min, at decimal max. So currently I'm not doing it in a floating point. So this is like sufficient for me. But remember that you cannot give the fractional point. The value type is long. So I said 5,000 or something, whatever. Oh, sorry, it's not a string. So minimum balance should be 5,000 and give a message accordingly. Must be. Okay. So are we all clear so far? You take your time. There's no this. Understood the meaning of it and how we are? Everything, 90% of the things we are doing with the annotations. Okay. So come to the bank controller and continue. So this error is there because we are not returning anything. So simply say return null just to satisfy the compiler. All with me, everyone with me, because today was a little hard day or heavy this. So I'm just taking I was not going to do this, but I thought of maybe giving you more practice. Now you know. So add a tracer, SOP, and I'll say in create account and just check once what are the contents of the request. When I have added add data or you have added toString, you will be able to see all of this. All, I mean, right now nothing done. So now tell me, who has to call whose method? We are in the REST controller. So later when you connect it to React, you'll forget, I'm sure. Please add the cross origin. I am giving you that so that, yeah, the earlier question was who has to call whose method? The controller has to call service layer. I just realized you might add a React front end to this. So you can say, it should be, I suddenly realized, and this. So if it is running on 3000, whatever port. So that otherwise, you know, otherwise it won't work. It will work 100%. Why I'm getting this error? What is it saying? Origin is not supplied. Origins it is. Sorry, my mistake. I was wondering why there is an error. Okay. So this is only for React or rather Angular, any browser client, not for Postman. Sorry. So you were saying here, we have to call the method of the service layer. Have we added any service layer method? No. But we'll have it, we'll generate it. So which service? I have already injected net banking service. So sorry. So service dot, let's create a method. I've created authenticate. Let's say create new account and simply pass this this unmarshaled deserialized validated request object. Sorry, we don't return it directly, my mistake. So here we wrap it in the response entity. So response entity and remove this. There is a method called as status to set the HTTP status. So if the account is created, there is a special HTTP status called as HTTP status.created. Always use the suitable status codes, you know. So if you say HTTP status dot, there is a one called as created 201. Okay. So that will tell the front end exactly that new bank account or some new resource was created. And then I'm saying dot body. And that body will be coming from, that will be nothing but your bank account. Of course, there's a compiler error because we don't have this method. So guys, you can decide if you like, if you follow better top-down manner in such cases, do it that way. If you feel comfortable more in building it in bottoms-up manner, I have shown you that throughout. Your choice totally. You tell me. Understood so far? The concept of response entity, its static method status, and its static method body. So we are manipulating entire response packet. Okay. So what is the next step? Get rid of this error. So here, click on this and ask it to create a method. And I don't want to return an object. I want to return a bank account. So if you are thinking, and you should be thinking, you will say, you just now said entities should not be sent. Agreed. So create a create account response and DTO. But I'm not taking those efforts because anyway, I'm wrapping it in the response entity. But in your projects, you decide if you want a response ratio, create a response ratio and let that be transferred to the JSONized form. Let that be transferred to the front end. Totally as per you or this. You don't require the annotation here. So get rid of it. Reach so far? This is all sounding heavy because I totally get it. You must be feeling it like last few days are extremely heavy because this is all project tips, guys. So naturally, it is bound to be a little complex. Anyway, so the next part is write the implementation class. Okay, so add a source, override implement methods. And I'm waiting here and you will tell me the code. You have written this kind of code multiple times. So I want you to write it for me. You let me know when you have written. You understand what is to be done. You have to actually create the account in this, and all this create account request information I have given you from the controller to service. Anyway, I'm waiting. You let me know when you are done. You are trying, I take it. If anyone is finding it confusing, talk to me. I mean, this I will explain. You're going to tell me whenever your code is ready, whenever you are done. If you're on the right track, it should not take you so much time. So you tell me step by step. Don't tell me the code. You just tell me the steps so that I'll know whether you are on the correct track or not. What is the first thing you will, first or second? Okay, but what is the thing? Okay, so you will get the account details. Fine. Create account request. Customer report.save. Kunal, you are absolutely wrong. There is this create account request is not an entity. It's a DTO. Okay, find customer by ID. Perfect start. There's no requirement. This one, Prashant, customer ID is not this thing. It is a string. I've used the assign type of a generator. Okay, so here you will have first requirement is get customer by its ID. Anytime you have a confusion, please take a look at the Pojo. I showed you. I said this is a change because I have to keep showing you change. This is only at ID annotation. Which regular other annotation is missing? At the rate generated value. So this is a supplied assigned ID. Okay, so it's not like parsing int and all is not going to be there. Okay, so get the customer by its ID, which is the method you will use. Of course, you will use customer report.find by ID. Yes, or else through. Correct. So get this. Then you are going to get the bank account. Absolutely, Mohammed is right. So get the bank account. Sorry. Create the bank account transient Pojo. Establish the link and save the account. So let's do it step by step. So get the customer by its ID. Once you get it, you have or else throw. So control will not come to the next line unless until you have found the match. Next one. Next one is what? Create transient bank account object or instance using the constructor. Next is establish the link. Establish the unidirectional link. So which is easy, and then save. Okay, so start fill in the blanks. So first is get the customer. So here I'm getting a customer, whatever, customer, and find by ID method. So what is it we have? Use the cust repository. Now I think you would do it. Find by ID. Okay, and here there's no parsing it because I have it. I have what? The customer ID itself is this. Okay, all clear. Here, oh sorry, my mistake. Or else you can say throw new. You can add a resource not found exception. Do I have it here? User handling exception. Okay, let's keep that user handling exception. I don't have a resource handling. I'll say throw new, not throw new user handling. So you can, if you have said that new runtime exception, I'm okay with that also. And here I'll say invalid customer ID. I just use my own custom exception, nothing other than that. Okay. So, lambda was wrong. This is a lambda expression. Forgot it. Okay. So this is done. So if the control comes to the next line, 100% I have found the customer ID. So now you create your bank account instance. Your bank account and you have to generate the constructor which takes, what are the only two things you are going to get it from the customer is account type he is going to choose and the balance. So understand this string to enum, everything will be done by the Spring container, proper conversions. So here you have this already. Request dot get, oh sorry, I use something else. I want to use this request dot get what? Get type and request dot get balance. Okay, so I've got a transient POJO. But if I do only this much, if I forget establish, if I forget this, foreign key won't be assigned. And if you have given that not null constant, you'll start getting an exception. So the most important thing in any case of whether it is unidirectional, bidirectional, establish that link. Here it is easy because it is only from account to customer, all said in the Hibernate days. So I'll have set account owner and that customer, and then you have to just call save and the account repos. This is an inherited save function which returns you the persistent entity. Persistent become detached because transaction is over here. So all I have to pass is the account. So take your minute and here returns detached account to the caller since transaction is over. Tell me, clear or not clear? You take your time and answer. This is the more practice I'm giving you about the DTOs, data transfer objects, such as create account request and doing the job in the service layer, where I don't have to write a word in the repository is equal to dow layer. You let me know whenever you are done. Here I've just used the custom exception, user handling exception or something. Is the service layer method clear? Clear? So now we have to just call this. Where there's a mistake, I guess. Wait a second. Maybe. Oh, in between. This is wrong. Invalid inputs. Okay. Import statement was wrong. Good. So now let's go to the layer above. Let me just close everything. Too many classes open. So let me open the bank controller and our job is done. But now, if user gives the correct inputs, balance properly, customer ID properly and all that, this should work. We are hoping that it will work. But let me ask you the next question. In case user does not supply customer ID or the balance which is less than that minimum balance, here in this current case, what will be sent to the front end? The entire stack trace or only the error response? Entire stack trace. Error response. Here, have I written? I think have I written the exception handler here? Check this, guys. I've given you this as a ready-made example. Com app controller custom exception. DAO, DTO, POJO service. No, I have not written here global exception handler. Stack trace is the answer. See, I've not given you. Just collapse all this. I've not given you. I did not want to give you. So I was worried whether I've given you by mistake or not. So what is the next step? What is the next step you have to write is global exception handler. You got it? What is the annotation at the class level? Here you have @controller device, which is the super class you'll extend from. That name is little this thing. Response entity exception handler. Means what? A global exception handler which will return a response entity. And just check, have I given this DTO here? Yeah, so in DTO I have got already the error response. So we can use all of it. Guys, for those the Lombok is not working, they will have to remove these annotations and replace it by getters, setters, and the constructor and all that. Okay, so this is fine. So now let us write together that global error handler and check. So I have two questions. Rather, I have two things. So I'll tell you what I want. So I want if any validation failures are there, I don't want to send the stack trace. I want to send that these are the errors and all that. Exactly the things which we did in the morning. So let's not waste your time. So let's start writing. So under comma, create a new class. It's just repetitive, not exception handler. Typically, I use the standard names, and here global exception handler. And what is going to be the superclass? Here itself you can type response entity exception handler. You say control space and please choose it response entity exception handler from OSWS, ORG Springs web servlet. Oh, look at this. It never got. I never said control space on that. Anyway, reached here. Start with the class level annotation @ controller advice. So this is that common advice we are giving by writing one single class. This advice will be supplied to all the controllers as well as REST controllers which are existing in our web application. Currently, there is only bank controller, but if you add customer controller, etc., same advice will be supplied. Now tell me, if I want to handle, I'll write it as a question, how to handle validation failures. So if I want to handle validation failures, is there any existing method which we need to override, or are we going to add our own method annotated with exception handler annotation? Override or new? Our own method. You forgot. There is one method by the name handle method argument not valid exception. So for validation failures, the answer is can override existing method. For that user handling exception, for that custom exception, we'll write our own handling method. But there is already a method. It's a standard one. Validation failure is a pretty standard exception. So we'll see that. So can override existing method. And here you just say override implement. And which is the method being overrode in the morning? Which is the method which corresponds to constraint violation exception? I'll tell you. There is a see the method handle method argument not valid. So select this and say okay. So this is what I was asking you. Do you need to add any method? If you have a standard validation failure, do not add your own method. Just override the existing one. Reached so far? With understanding? Okay. And now we want to customize the response. So you can remove all of this. And then we had little bit of involved code. So what I want to do is here you can replace that object by question mark. It is the inheritance or rather super class in generic world. So we are doing this, and here we are going to create that error response entity, but in which time. So again, the suggestion I give the same: create a string builder with the original message as validation errors or validation error messages, anything. And start. Now understand the API. Now you can just prompt this and you will get it. So this is a, see this exception to be thrown. It gives you so clearly exception to be thrown when validation on the argument annotated with at valid fails. Okay, so this is nothing but explicitly done for binding between the payload and your POJO properties. Okay, so now start with this. So this special exception has a method get binding result. See, the word itself is so self-explanatory. The binding between incoming data JSON payload and the POJO properties. Then there is a method to get all the errors. Actually, there is get field errors. Don't use get all errors. It will return you object error, little complex, but you can use get field. There is something called as get field errors. Yeah. So this will return you gets all the errors associated with fields, nothing but the POJO property. And since it is a list, you can iterate over it. And if I say each error, for each error, keep on appending it to your message, to your this thing, string builder dot append. And in that error, there is a method get default message. and you can just do the space as a separator so it won't come back together. Do it and tell me. You can just take the cursor over each method and tell you, it will tell you what it is doing. So I have got my string builder object populated with all the error messages. Done. Can we continue? You take your time. Okay, you wish is saying done. I will wait for others also. Understood it also? Then when you are reading the error message, the pop-up, things will be clear. And once I have a string builder, I just have to get the string and put it in the error response, and that's it. So I'm saying return response entity. And in this case, since the error is from the client side, the suitable error code is 400 series, 4XX series. So we are using the status method. And here, it's a typical status is bad request, 400. Bad request. Okay. And then I'm setting the body with which has this string builder and all of that. So here, either you can say directly, string sb dot to sb dot to string. But since we have adopted a pattern that everything will put it in the error response, new error response. Here I had different type of error response, message and the error details. So you can give your own message also, customize the message here. So I'll say validation failed. This is my own error message. And I want to find out what exactly went wrong. So SB is a string builder dot toString. This is a detailed message. And I think we are done here. Something wrong? Oh, this return type is incompatible. Sorry, I can't change the return type. I'll have to stick. I said, see guys, overriding form of the method cannot, it can be a return type same or covariant type. So this wasn't matching with the covariant signature. So I had to change it back to object. Question mark, I could not. You can go to subtype, you cannot go to super type. So finish it and tell me if it worked. Work means no compiler error. This comment went haywire. Okay, so now in the next minute, how to handle the custom exception. Which custom exception I'm having? I'm having some exception such as, user handling exception. So user handling, for example, user handling exception. So now same question, same answer. Answer you decide. So for this, are you going to override some existing method or are you going to add your own? Override or new method? Of course, new. Because how can you expect the superclass, Spring supplied superclass, to know about your custom exceptions? So purposefully, I have given you the practice of all. So that time you have to give the method level annotation, exception handler, which is the specific exception I'm handling here, user handling exception dot class, the class reference. And here, then you add a method. Typically again in this is our own method, so I have no restrictions this time. So response entity, here I can make question mark and I can say now the typical naming pattern. Handle is the keyword means suggested word, and then you supply which exception are you handling. Handle this, and as the argument list of here you can pass this instance. So user handling exception, reach here, do this much. So the answer is okay. This is purposefully writing long quotes to give you this. Create new account method showing error. Akshay, just in a minute. I'll send you that in a minute. I'll just finish it in a minute and send you. Okay. So here, so you can add a SOP if you want, or you can directly say return response entity. So here, this error is a server side failure. So you can definitely add that status code 500. Oh, sorry. Here it is a user not user handling. You can decide. It's not a resource not found. So I can say HTTP status, internal server error, or anything. There are so many codes. So you can decide. So here user handling necessarily not means this. But if you say you want to specifically say that content or resource not found, change it to HTTP 4 not 4. This is all flexible. And then send the body to new error response. And here the message is, this is your server side error. And here I'm giving the error detail as e.get get message. So I think we are done here. And if you want, you can always add a catch-all type of a thing, which I will definitely recommend. So equivalent to catch-all block. Just change it to runtime. And handle runtime exception. And this time we really don't know what it is. So I said this can be changed to 404 or whatever you want. And here I'm saying server side error again and the get message. So technically speaking, you can combine this into one. Or if you are getting confused here, you can change the error code to internal server is fine. I'll say here user handling error. Otherwise, you'll say it is just the same. So some exception message. Now let me just, what is it you wanted? Bank control. I'll just create a zip and send it. It's easier that way. What is it we are having here? Net banking REST server. So here I'm sending you this, Akshay, net banking REST server. Okay. So, oh, sorry, I sent it as a RAR, but I think it will still work. If you need any further help, anyone, let me know. Finish it. So I think we are ready to test. Has everyone completed it? Okay, so now launch the application. Right click, run as Spring Boot app. Check the console. So this console should be all fine. Just checking which is the database I'm using, because in between, I was trying things. Oh yeah, it is. Anyway. Oh yeah, no, we changed it to that 23. I'm okay with this. Fine. So we have this, all the accounts and all that. So I had added some test account in between. So you check your data first. And let's say, now let's create a account for the other user, other client. So open your front end. Let's first try with the correct one. So which is the method we are going to use is post, localhost, bank account. And here we are going to have a body, raw, JSON, And here, now we'll give the this thing, DTO, that JSON representation of DTO. So open that create account request. And initially, let's give the whole thing. So cust ID, type and a balance. So cust ID. And here, oh, this is not an array, this is a string. So here, I'm choosing the other user, HTC 1002. You can add that. Then you have a type here. Guys, common mistake. What is the value you are going to give to the type? Anyone wants to tell me? Can you give any arbitrary value? Enum. Yeah, but means what? Absolutely correct. But there is no enum type. Exactly. There's no enum. So my question was uppercase saving or lowercase saving? Of course, uppercase. Otherwise, you'll start getting parsing exception. That was the only point. So who is converting, who is parsing string to enum? Your Spring container. So suppose saving I have, so I'm saying saving, suppose, and the original balance, opening balance, I'm giving it sufficiently high. 5,000 was minimum, right? 6,000. Okay. And check this endpoint. And you should see, if all goes well, 201. You remember account created, that HTTP status 201 with 4 version currently you discard, account type and balance. And of course, you have to check. You have to check what? In the background. Oh. And tell me if the new account has been created in the database. Working or not working? Created? Great. And if you check the response, is this response containing, your choices are bank account details, customer details, both or neither? It's an important point. You require all of it and much more in your projects. Trust me. Account details, customer details, both or neither. Fast answers. Only account details. And how did I manage that? For that, towards the end of our morning half, I did not discuss it. I just applied it. So please open my Pujos and bank account Pujo. And here, even after I have added here many to one, if you see the queries, open the console, guys. So Hibernate is not firing. This was the query because I wanted to get the customer details. But when I say insert in bank accounts, Hibernate is not going and doing anything for the customer details. But here, just a second. When you use it for marshalling means serialization. The moment your property, it sees the property, it means the serializer, the converter, Java to JSON converter, sees this property account owner, converts this account owner information into what JSON, and that is what you were getting earlier. So how to tell Jackson vendor? Jackson is for your marshalling and unmarshalling. Read the annotation. JSON ignore. A marker annotation that indicates that whatever property is to be ignored. Introspection based is reflection based, serialization and deserialization. So add a comment here. This is to tell Jackson. What is Jackson? It is nothing but a vendor for marshalling and unmarshalling. Okay. To tell Jackson to ignore this property during serialization and deserialization. When I say serialization, deserialization, serialization is marshalling, deserialization is unmarshalling. And that is how I could get rid of it. It becomes so easy to check. Just ignore this property. Okay. Ignore means like comment this property I meant. And you should be playing with a postman a lot. So let me create another account for the same guy. So I'll say current, another one. So let's say 5500. So it says account balance, account created. And do you see the effect of JSON ignore? You run it. I'll wait for you. I said comment this JSON ignore line. Of course, the account will get created. There's no this thing about it. Then there are no two ways about it. But now you tell me what information is being sent to the client. Account information, customer information, both or neither. Answer is both. So I don't know your project requirements. I think you also don't know in so much detail what is it you're going to require because you are not yet started that phase. So the point is I have shown you both the ways. If you want to send it, you don't use any JSON ignore types. But if you want to skip it from sending, it is like skip a particular property from serialization and deserialization. Simply use JSON ignore annotation. Understood about it? Okay. Now let us make the mistake. We've written that validation and exception handler. So how about testing it? You can always go back and say JSON ignore. So customer ID, suppose you don't specify at all. So get rid of customer ID and send it. So you tell me, are you getting the correct error status code, stack trace or no stack trace, and enough information sufficient? In short, error response or entire stack trace? Are you getting it? You understood guys something by now? Because morning, I think it was little, not little, more than heavy. But after doing everything once again or properly in slow manner, are we understanding it? And if you give the account ID, which is customer ID, which is wrong, so give that also. This was your one of this validation failures. How about the next one? So here, give the cust ID. Oh, it's a JSON key. Quotes. And here, do I have this customer ID? I don't. Check it out. So here, this is your 500 internal status server error. You can customize it anytime. The message is user handling error, invalid customer ID, and the timestamp. In short, who is handling these errors? Spring supplied error handlers, default error handler resolver, or our own global error handler? I mean, global exception handler. Of course, this thing. Getting the feel? Got the feel of whatever we did in the first half in a better manner, clearer manner. Okay, so that was the intention. Now let's go ahead. Now let us come to the real point. So here, if you see today's help, I hope I've given in that. So let me open day 20 data, day 20 help. Diagrams, there are no diagrams. Oh, did not give you. Forgot to add. Just a second, wait a second. I'll send you right away. That whole REST template and whole things. It was written yesterday. It was in the yesterday's help. Anyway, let me send you a REST template demo diagram and we'll start building it and finish it quickly. So Java EE, 2 minutes. Please this thing it, download this diagram, REST template demo and open it. We will discuss and write it together. This is a new thing. I'm taking a new thing. Otherwise, it becomes too hectic tomorrow. I was hoping to cover the AOP. Doesn't seem to be possible. Let's see. Let's not give up so early, do so fast. It depends all on you. Have you opened the diagram? Okay. So which part we have finished is here, the backend, the net banking server. Okay. So this is what we wrote. So net banking login I had already given. So this one, create new account, we finished just now. So what is it we want? We, what is it called? We tested the net banking login as well as create new account with which client? Postman testing client. But actually speaking, who is going to call these APIs of the net banking? Who is going to call this APIs of net banking server? Answer is employee management system. You understand this? So now I'm showing you how does one REST API, I'm talking in Java, I'm not talking in other technologies. So that front end react to this we already did. Now I'm saying one Java based web service, RESTful web service, how it contacts other one. So that whole answer is using the REST template. So that is what I'm discussing, or that is what we are going to write. And then I'll see how long it takes. Depending on that, I will ask you. Most likely will not do any new things, but this in between things we will do. So please open today's sequence. What I'll do is I'll copy it in the today's help also. I'll upload it in that Google Drive. If I don't, remind me. Anyway, so open the today's sequence, please. I have written all about it, I guess. There's a small point before I take you there because we may not get time. So just a little bit, I mean, earlier point, and then I will take you further. So till now I had shown you all validations using @valid annotation. So tell me, @valid annotation is followed by what? Your choices are request parameter, path variable, or request body. @valid annotation comes on what? Request body. Everyone gets it? Now, if you want to validate, for example, request parameter, okay, or you want to validate your request parameter or path variable, the annotation remains the same. Okay, so @valid, @request parameter, or @valid, @path variable remains the same, but still validations will not apply, will not be applicable. So in that case, you will have to add @validated annotation on the controller class level. So I have talked about it. I have written about it in this. So here, just a second. Yeah, read this, please. Here, for path variables or request parameters, in addition to already added @valid at those level, add @validated annotation at the class level, and exception raised, we'll check which is the exception raised, and accordingly you can handle it in the, it is typically constraint violation type. You can handle it in your global handler. So time permitting, I'll take that example also. It doesn't take us a lot of time. But first, more important point is REST template. So remind me to show you this demo or set up this demo sometime. So coming back to the point now, open the sequence. And we are setting up REST template demo. We don't have anything. We have the backend server fully tested with Postman. So here, this is that ready-made code, which I explained. And employee application is the REST server for React app, and it is client to net banking application. You got this? And currently the front end app is React app is tested with Postman. Later you can add these front end, you know, where you can add customer ID, bank customer ID, bank PIN, and all those passwords in the React app also. So what is it we want is, wait a second. Okay, I'll not show you this endpoint because that we have not written. Authenticate bank customer. So understand it step by step. Who is going to call whose method for customer authentication? Let me get everyone on the same board. Who is going to call this particular API? Who is the invoker? And who is going to call whose method basically? REST API calls. The employee app that is employee management system app, we'll call the net banking. Okay. Now, here, are we in the authentication process? Are we actually creating a new resource? It's a Boolean question, yes or no? Absolutely not. But still, I'm insisting on post. Any guesses? Any idea why? For which purpose? It is definitely not for creating the resource. So then for which purpose? Which one is secure? Get or post? Exactly, security purpose. So secure method is post. So later, if you want to add the JWT and additional security mechanisms, I'll still suggest the posting the data, critical information, do it with post. So here, this part we have already done properly. You have understood the response entity also. So now this part is all done. Okay. So I will come to this part. How to make a REST call from one web application to another. So in this case, I'm introducing you the concept of a REST client. Once again, EMS, Employee Management System, is the REST client of your net banking server. So the answer is one class. There are various, what do you say, flavors. Flavors means there are various options, but in your contents, you have REST template. So read this and I'll explain. Just go through it. The description of REST template class. Only 3 lines you have to read. Okay. So tell me the equivalent of REST template class in React, and I'll know whether it has reached you. What is the answer here? Axios. Understood? One answer I only got. I was expecting multiple answers. Guys, which is the REST client API we use from React to make a backend call? Axios framework, Axios library, isn't it? So this is exactly equivalent of Axios in Java world, or rather in Spring framework. Understood? Understood this part? Okay, because when you know something and when I connect to it, I think better understanding. So you're not learning anything which is like new. It is React, it is Axios library in React. It is REST template class in our Spring Boot, or rather it is in the Spring framework. Okay, so I don't want to, jump into this. Please open that diagram and I'll explain it with the diagram as always. So now you start answering. Should I, already there are answers, unfortunately. Should I add this net banking login call in the employee controller, or should we nicely separate it in a separate REST controller? Separation, always what it is, what is better. So separation, let employee controller manage all the resource oriented activities for employee resource, and let this bank account controller take care of this banking business. I mean, calling the REST APIs. Is the first statement clear? Why we are writing a separate controller? Okay. Now, so this controller, I will rephrase it. I will call it as, this is a net banking server. So while writing, I will call it as, you can remove it from the diagram and later change it, net banking client controller. Or okay, let me not be lazy. Otherwise, later, if at all you're going to like revise it anytime, you should find the similar names. Okay, so what I'm adding here is, what we are going to write in a minute is net banking client controller. Okay, I'll just shift it slightly. So this is the new controller we are going to write now. But controller just does the job of what? Request handling. So what is going to be the client of this? You can of course upgrade my React app, that my app or whatever, but currently we are going to test with the Postman. So that customer ID and the password encapsulated in that DTO. Which DTO? Create request DTO, whatever DTO we are given, some DTO we are used. So that will be sent from the Postman to this middle layer, and then it is going to make a call. Understood the flow or confused? Because we are going to start building in 2 minutes. I'll repeat the last statement again. I said, here we have a Postman client currently that will send that DTO JSON version of JSON format, the Marshall version of that DTO, that whatever, I don't remember that, some login request, sorry, login request DTO, and here this will use it and send it further. Understood or lost? Somewhere you are in between, because I just got one yes. Anyway, by the time you start writing, you'll understand. So here, this net banking REST controller, just a second, should it be REST? Of course, it has to be REST. It is going to respond to React or Postman. So this REST controller is going to call a service layer method as usual. Controller calling service. So think and answer. When we add this service layer for net banking client service, is it going to call the DAO layer method? Yes or no? This service layer, is it going to call net banking client? I mean, is it going to call the DAO layer method? It's a Boolean question. Yes or no? Some of you are saying no. Why? Why? Because there's a question. Why? It's not like a by fluke or something. Because, yes, please. Client DAO. Not convincing answer, Prashant. Better answer. Okay, let me ask you. Where is the bank account resource? On this side, that is middle tier, or on the, REST API 1, REST API 2. Where it is? EMS or net banking? Where is it? Of course, it is in net banking. So how can you have, we wrote that bank account DAO and all that. So how can you have it here? Okay. So this DAO is for employee DAO. So so service is not going to, your client service is not going to call the DAO layer method because resource simply doesn't exist. Instead, this is where we will make a REST call. Are you getting it? Like in React, we have a component, and in component we inject the service. So here we will inject in this service a REST template using something called as builder pattern. That is a detail. Ignore the detail. And here using REST template, which call we are going to make? Get, post, put, or delete? I already said post for the purpose of security, not for creating the resource. It will get the response and we'll see further. Is the description clear? Whatever I said is clear. Can you visualize what is going to make a call? So again, let me write it in a top-down manner. It will be clearer for understanding. So now you can stop your server as in Spring Boot app. You can say close everything, Control-Shift-W, and which is the project you are going to open. Is it going to be net banking REST server, or is it net banking REST client, which is your employee management system? C or S, client or server? Everyone understands it? Great. So open that net banking REST client. And if you see here, the resource which we are having here, the table, the POJO is only employee. There's no bank account. Bank account is in yet another database, DAC 23 or something, remote. Okay. So now open that. Let's start writing it fast. So let us call it as net banking client controller. The basic annotations and all you already know. So here we are having the REST controller, and since it is a mapping, I can see, or okay, I can see bank here also. I can give you. You don't have to give a new endpoint because anyway, this is existing in a different REST server. So I can have that. If you want to add constructor for debugging, go ahead. Constructor. Okay. Now here, what will be the dependency? I will write this. Add RESTful method, which will make a REST call to call what? To, okay, let's say this, to authenticate bank customer. Okay. So here, add a RESTful method to authenticate bank customer, which runs in a different server. Runs on a different server. We are going to have two servers running. It is a two web applications communicating with each other. Runs on a different web server. That is different Tomcat server. So now, since it is all secure, let's add it as a post mapping. And here, so you can have similar things. There's no, okay, I'll make the slide change here so you will know that it need not be the same. And here, let it send a response entity back. Whatever response entity I get, I will handle the same entity back. You'll know about it. It's nothing but a response DTO. I'll be having response DTO and authenticate bank customer. The input arguments and all we will write together. You just finish this much. Because I want to discuss with you and then write further, not just give you as a dictation. Net banking app, which runs on a different server, is what I meant. Understood what is happening so far? Okay. So now my question to you is, I hope you finish this much. What will be the argument here? Anyone? Tell me, what will be the argument? Waiting for your answer. Customer ID and password. Yes. But that customer ID and password, is it going to be encapsulated exactly in a DTO or loosely separated? Encapsulated. So guys, already too many things happening. So we can reuse the stuff. So go to that backend project, which is that backend project, Net Banking REST server, and which DTOs I can just pick up. So I can use login request and login response. See, I'm reusing data transfer objects are meant for, transferring the data between the layers, between the two client and the server. So just copy these. You can always write them, but instead just copy them here. And let me see. Yeah, I just got this. So paste it under that. So login response seems to having a problem. Okay, so I don't have the list of bank accounts. We'll add it from here. So just understand step by step. Don't worry about the error. We will fix that error in a minute. You understood what I copied? The DTO, request DTO, and the response DTO. Okay, now the next question. Open that login response and there is a compiler error. Why there is a compiler error? Because where does this bank account entity exist? Net banking client or net banking server? On the net banking server. So, and it has got its corresponding database, accounts table and everything. So, see the trick. All these are standard tricks, nothing of my own personal, the same. So here, Can I? Okay, without that, it won't compile. So check this. No, I'll not do it. First, I'll explain my point. I'm going to pick up this bank account. But if you open this bank account, it has got entity, it has got JPA annotations to map it to the underlying table. So those who were confused earlier between a POJO versus a DTO, let me ask you a clear-cut question. This bank account class, will it act as an entity in the net banking server, or will it act as a DTO? Entity or a DTO? In the on the back end, I said back end, entity, you have this. But the same one, after removing those annotations and all that, what will it work as in the front end? A DTO or entity? Will it have a corresponding record? Of course not. Are you understanding how we are using that DTO pattern smartly? So just pick up this bank account. I think bank account has a customer. So pick up the customer also. Or anyway, do it one by one. See the compiler error and fix it. That is the best pattern. So paste it here. And in bank account, which annotations are you going to remove? All JP annotations, because there is no entity here. There's no bank table. There's no account table. So get rid of all these JPA style annotations. Get rid of entity table. I'm just reusing the things. This stays. JPA enum type. No, I don't require. Just a second. So you can do that. At many to one you'll require. Want that? JSON ignore. JSON ignore is DTO type style annotation. So you can keep it if you want. And join column you will never have. Customer we don't have, that is fine. So this. Okay. So I'll say control shift. So have you converted entity to a DTO, data transfer object? At entity is still there. I removed at entity, I guess. Oh, extends base entity is not required. Just a second. We are getting the whole thing, so might as well do the full job. So now I'll not waste your time. So base entity is just having that, ID. So you pick up that also and put it under the package. Now you can fix those errors, I hope. Just picking it up and put it. All these are no longer entities. They are actually converted into DTOs. So I'll require a customer also, as you saw. So take your own minute and do it on your own. You can create a separate package for that. So go to the customer, remove all these JP annotations. All I'm taking it as a shortcut, though I don't want to like write things all over again. Get rid of JPA stuff. So all this is at length I'll require. I'll send you this in a minute if you want. Let it compile. So let's see. Bank account is still having a problem. Okay. Why it is having a problem? Account type. Okay. Account type I forgot to copy. Pick up things, guys, and finish it fast. Okay. So now login response has a problem still. So what I'll send you is this full DTO layer, just 2 minutes. I'll confirm. This base entity is also not required. Is it required? 2 minutes. Am I saying somewhere customer extends base entity? No. Bank account extends it? No. So I can get rid of it. Unnecessary things I'll not copy. Let me see. Yeah. So I will send you now the full DTO.zip in case you don't want to take these efforts. Best is you take efforts. Net banking REST client, SRC, main, Java, com, app, videos. Okay. And Let me share this with you. Yeah, I've sent you the DTO zip. If you have not done it by now, you can take a look at it. Understanding is important. Making changes you can do later also. So I've just converted JPA managed entities into ordinary data transfer objects. Done. You are going to tell me whenever you have done it. Then we will continue. Yeah, Sumit is saying done. Can I go ahead, guys? Okay. So like I said, it's just a matter of removing the JPA style annotations. Now let's come back to our controller. And here, give the annotation request, sorry. Now don't add any @valid annotation because in the actual ultimate backend, which is net banking server, we are already validating it. So here you can have login request. So this was all done for here. And then we are going to, there will be add some SOPs in authenticate. This is in net banking client. Because now you're going to have so many things. So better to do the proper debugging first. And now you just have to call a service layer method. So this is an authentication success file. So response entity dot okay, that is 200 status in case authentication succeeds. And here we're going to give the body. So that okay is the name of the method and body will be, we will add a service layer here. We don't have it. We will create it in a minute. That's the main thing at AutoWire. Net banking client service. And since it is not existing, just it will ask me what it is to be done. I'm creating an interface out of it and in the service package. Okay. Added it. We'll keep it empty. We will generate it. I mean, we'll add the methods automatically. And here, now the main thing. So on this client service, I want to call a method authenticate customer. Okay. Bank customer. And pass this login request data. And start using the shortcuts here. So it is saying, do you want to create a method in that? We want. And it is going to return our earlier decided login response. So that was quite a stuff. You finish it and then I'll continue. And anytime in between you need any help, let me know. We have not yet written the method. Done. So you understood what we are planning to do. Net banking client is client controller is going to call the service layer. And in service layer, we are going to inject that REST template, which will make the actual call to the backend. That is the plan. So all we have written is just the method declarations. Can I continue to the next slide? I mean, to write the service implementation method. Shall I send you the whatever classes so far, or can I continue? People are not saying. If you need this, tell me. Shall I send? Okay, wait a second. I'll make a zip again. So whatever you want. Or shall I send you this thing? No, there are too many changes I have done. Let me send a zip. It is easier for me also, easier for you. 2 seconds. Use the video. I will make a full zip and send you. Net banking REST client. Yeah, here is it. I've sent it. You can check it. So wherever you have not completed, you can complete it quickly. So now let's write that method in the service layer. I'm saying Control Shift W, closing everything. Let's go to your service layer. We have not written the service layer. We have just written the interface. So go to service class. The name is Net Banking Client Service IMPL. Banking. Sorry. Net Banking Client Service IMPL, which is implementing Net Banking Client Service. So reach here and we go ahead. I just wrote an implementation class which has this blank method. So tell me, but think and answer. Here is a trick question. What should be the annotations I should add on the service layer? I said think and answer. That itself means there's something. No. Yogesh, this is not a REST template. We are going to inject the REST template here as the dependency. I asked you, oh, there is a spelling mistake. I'll correct that. I said, what will be the class level annotation? You think about it. In the meantime, I'll just refactor. Wrong spelling. Net banking client service implementation. Okay, let me see. Add service. Okay. And what about add transactional? Add transactional required or not required? Forgot about it. Answer is 100% not required, because the authentication related any transaction is going to happen not in the net banking client but on the net banking server. So keep track of such things. Unnecessary if you give it like otherwise, it is like just blind coding. So add service is the very right answer. No add transactional, because there is no DAO layer. Okay, I should have asked you, what will be the dependency of this, DAO layer or REST template? Obvious question now. What will be the dependency of this? Here, this dependency will be REST template. But now, tell me, just a moment back, just a step back. Are we running this in a Spring Boot environment or a non-Spring Boot legacy? Legacy or Spring Boot? We are running this project in what? Spring Boot or legacy application? Simple question. Of course, legacy. Where is the legacy? Legacy means non-Spring Boot. Come on, don't give me such shocker. Last so many days I've forgotten the count. Last so many days I have already migrated you to Spring Boot. See this, there's a boot here. Okay, so it is a Spring Boot. So here in this case, if it was a legacy, in the legacy days, in the legacy means earlier non-Spring Boot days, I could directly auto wire the REST template. Here we have to inject the REST template builder. So this is a chance to expand to explain all of you the builder pattern. So open Spring Boot, or if you can't open, you look up here. Spring Boot documentation I have supplied long time back in the last week. And here you can search for REST template builder. So it's as the name suggests, this is a builder pattern. So before I tell you this, let me give you the analogy. Go back all the way to the native Hibernate. Native Hibernate means whatever you learned before Spring, that was using all the native Hibernate APIs. Okay, so tell me, who was the supplier of Session Factory? There was no Spring there. We had to create a Session Factory. Which class we used to write? I know it is too much. Okay, configuration, very right. So Hibernate utils class, you remember we used to write a static initializer block, and there we used to write configuration, new configuration dot configure dot build. So that was also using the builder pattern, but that time it was builder for what? Builder for a session factory. Now I'm explaining you the builder for the REST template. Okay, read the description. So builder is nothing but an object which can be used to build a particular instance. So here, builder that can be used to configure and create a REST template. Okay, so listen to the statement. If you are using a REST template in a Spring Boot environment, can you auto-wire it directly, or do you have to get it from the REST template builder? Auto-wire, one option, auto-wire directly, or get it from the builder. Answer is get it from the builder. But here, see the thing. By default, the built REST template, okay, that is the REST template, but it tells you somewhere. Has it said? Okay, it can be injected. This, okay, yeah, it is. So in a typical auto-configured Spring Boot application, which is what we are using, this builder is available as a ready-made bean and can be injected whenever REST template is needed. So this is little heavy to understand. So I've given you in writing in sequence. So in the service layer, what is it we are going to inject? Not the REST template, but its builder. So take a look at this, guys, and tell me. I have already written the answer. This is your, when you say at auto wire, it is automatic wiring. But do you remember? Auto wire by type, auto wire by name, and auto wire by constructor. So this is what? Setter based DI, field level based dependency injection, or is it constructor based DI? It's a constructor based DI. And as you saw, as you read it just now, this REST template builder is available in the Spring Boot application as a ready-made bean. Spring Boot creates it. You just have to pass it as the dependency constructor argument, and then you have to build the REST template and keep it ready. So this is what we are doing. And that REST template, I will explain. There are so many. Okay, I will Spring expression language later. And then I'll explain the method. There's a post for entity, post for object, which is analogous to your Axios instance, get, put, post, and delete methods. Okay, so one thing at a time. So please open that service layer. And here, declare this thing. I am going to require a REST template. So REST template, I can say template. But unfortunately, guys, to be very honest with you, I have not checked it in the latest Spring Boot version, which is 2.6.3. But so as per the docs, they say it is not available. So I'm just trusting it. So let us add constructor-based dependency injection. The moment I say constructor-based DI, let's start with the constructor. Okay, so at AutoWired comes over the constructor. It's not a field level dependency injection. It's a constructor based DI. Now you tell me, I already showed you the code. Are we going to write it as a default constructor or parameterized constructor? What is going to follow here? Default or parameterized? Which constructor are we going to write? Of course, parameterized. How can you pass the dependencies to a default constructor? I hope you remember all that constructor based dependency injection. So here, take this. I'm just saying net banking client. And here, now comes this. So what is the, that REST template builder is available to me from any Spring Boot application. So inject that. REST template builder. And give the variable name, whatever. And here, create REST template from its builder. So here I have already got that template, and the method is the builder patterns method is typically build. So here builds a new REST template instance and configures it using the builder. So this is all automatic configuration. So I'll simply say this. Currently you'll get a warning because we have not used it yet. So understood this builder pattern and the automatic wiring, nothing but it is equivalent to, as said, the auto wire attribute. The value is nothing but constructor. You tell me when you have finished typing. I'll ask you 2 questions just to confirm whether you are there. Done it? Okay. So tell me, who is creating REST template builder? Question 1. So, okay, yeah, and the question 2 is, who is building the REST template? The choices are either Spring container, either Spring Boot container or programmer. So I'll ask you again, who is creating REST template builder, S or P, Spring Boot container? Because here it is injecting the ready-made bean into that. So of course created by Spring Boot container, but who is building the REST template from it? Programmer or Spring programmer? Are we completely clear? If you want, you can add. I'll add it for you. So the REST template builder, ready-made bean supplied, or other. Okay, supplied. Actually, I was going to say available, but fine. Supplied by Spring Boot framework. Okay. Whereas REST template we are creating. Built by programmer using its builder. I'll send you this in case you want the comments. You anyway gave me a correct answer, so I think it is reaching you somewhere. So now the next part. So I have got my REST template injected. Injected means its builder was injected. We have built it. Done so far. Can I take you to the last step? Okay. So now here REST template is not from Spring Boot. It is from Ordinary. Ordinary means Spring Framework. So here I'm flipping between the API docs. So if you see the description of REST template, it is a very good description. So all these REST template offers templates for common scenarios. Think of it as an equivalent, Java equivalent or Spring equivalent of Axios. So here they have given you the list somewhere. They have not, or they have removed it. Anyway, so you can see this. Okay, can you see this delete type of methods? So what is it? Nothing but your delete request. So let me not waste your time. Which is the request we want to use? We want to make for authentication. Everyone knows which HTTP method we want to use is post. So if you go, you can look for, there's a method called as post for entity. There are 2 methods, post for object, but I'm talking about entire response entity. So look for a method post for entity. There are overloaded methods. I'll tell you which one to use, which is the easier one. The second one is easier. Just a second. A URL, request object, response type, URI variables. Yeah. So forget about, okay, so just read the method name. Post for entity. Returns you that it's a generic method, as you can see, response entity, and read the description first. Creates a new resource by posting the given object to the URI template and returns the response as response entity. So this is the method, like how we have Axios instance post method. REST template has a method post for entity, which can get me back the whole response entity. So now start answering the questions. Let's see whether you can answer. So anyone wants to tell me the URL. You remember in the React frontend, we write a service layer and there you write URLs. So now this URL I'm going to write for my net banking client to reach the net banking server. So I'm waiting for your response. Give me the first argument, URL. Like, because that will tell me localhost 7070. Yes, absolutely correct. Are you understanding how whatever he's saying? See this. Here you will go to the backend, net banking REST server. You have fortunately one controller bank, this controller. This is running on 7070. So he has just taken that localhost 7070 slash bank slash sign in. So tell me others, other guys, understood the URL? Got it? Okay, the next one, next question. I'm just solving it. So when we start writing it is like fine. What is the second argument you are going to give is the request body. Anyone wants to tell me what will you pass as the second argument? Exact question, exact answer. Login request. Very right. Now, am I going to get some response from the post? I don't get anything from delete, but I get it from post. So anyone wants to tell me what will be the third argument? First is that URL. Second is the login request. Can you tell me the class for that response type? Yes. You're almost there. So you're doing very well. So this customer, no Girish. Okay, let me not this thing. Wait. You are doing so well. So don't this thing. What is it I'm sending from here? So here, this is the backend service. Take a cursor here. Oh, sorry, you are right. It is I'm sending a bank account. Am I sending a bank? No. No, sorry. This one. Sending a login response. I got mixed up. I used the second endpoint. Guys, what goes in is the login request detail. What it is sending back is a login response. Understood what I said? So here, login response. Okay, same error, Girish. So coming back to the point. So this will be what? This will be your whatever, net banking server URL. This will be your login request. This is not an object. This is a class. Deserialization is going to happen. So of course, login response dot class. And now everyone knows this. This is not your destructuring. This is what your this thing varargs, variable arguments. So are we adding any additional URI variables? Not in current request. It is varargs. Can I replace it by 0? Of course, it is 0 to anything. So I'm going to drop it. Understood this? Understood this method? URL, request object, response type class, and the URI variables. So this is the method we are going to use to actually make the call. So go back to the net banking REST client, and here use REST template API. Which API? I'll write it in here. So that is returning you the response entity. I'm not writing too much into generic form. So this is returning you response entity of type T. That type T is nothing but response class. And the name is post for entity. And the main arguments are the URL. The URL. Then comes the request object. If I make a mistake, let me know. It's in a label and all that. So I'm not adding extra stuff, just this. And the response type of the class. So class type T. See, this T and T is matching. So you are going to get a response type with a response entity whose type is response body. So here it is the response type. And then you can have additionally URI variables. So that was what? Object, I mean, it was object, right? Object varargs, yeah. URI variables. Currently, anyway, we are not sending. So I'll give you a minute. You make the call. Give me the next line. I've already explained. Just make the call. Try it out. I've explained all this. You just have to put it together. Are you trying? You just have to call this method by filling in correct arguments. You're trying. Okay. Continue, continue. I'll wait. See, one response I've got. Third argument, the third argument is the type of the class, response type. I'll say here class. So what is going to be the response type here? I showed you now. So here, this method is returning me the login, the DTO login response. So what will be the third argument? Login response dot class, not bank account dot class. Login response dot class. This one, Prashant. I'm getting the response type as not as a bank account, but the response.
पण काय त्याचं टच जास्त पॉवरफुल होतं.
Mute yourself, please. So let me write it. So you got a template built. So there's a template dot post for entity. The second one I'm using. Let's see, am I using this correctly? The one with the, yeah. So I'll use this. And the first argument is the URL. And I'll just create a separate one here. String URL equal to, if I make mistake, tell me it should be localhost 7070 is the backend, and I think bank/sign-in is. It's all about matching, you know that. /bank/sign-in. Purposefully changing the URL. You can keep it same or different, doesn't matter. So this is my first argument, URL, which is the request, login request, already done. Which is the third argument? It is the type of the class, response type of the class. And what is the response type I'm going to get? The login response. So login response dot class. And I don't want any URI variables. So that's it. And here you can say control1, assign it to the local variable. And what you are going to get is response entity having the login response. I can say it is related as. I'll wait here for a minute. Tell me if the method invocation is clear. The arguments are clear. Server side URL, I mean REST API contacting URL, the request body, request object, and the response class. So here the deserialization, unmarshalling is going to happen on the client side, and it is going to create the object and give it to you. You tell me whenever you have understood and done this. So we can go ahead. Yes, you're right, Yogesh. Actually, I made a mistake. Here, I am removing that login response from this response type I said is a login response. Please change it to response entity login response, because otherwise again we'll have to put it in the controller. My mistake. Please change this here and also change it in the interface. I just now realized. So here, no, where are we? We have to be in the front end, and here, no, not here. Network service here. Okay. So we'll fix it wherever it is not matching. Don't worry. Can I continue, guys? Tell me, we are coming to the end of the day. You finish this? Okay. So now just take a cursor here, or okay, don't take a cursor. I mean, either way you can read. I just want to explain. If things go wrong, which is the exception it is throwing is REST client exception. So you can see it is nothing but a always, as always, it is an unchecked exception. REST client exception, base class for exceptions thrown by this when it has any HTTP errors. Okay, so I'm not now writing that global handler and making part of it because I want to take a proper step here. So here I'm saying you can replace this also, by the way, with your global error handler, and which is the exception we are catching here. You don't have to go, you know it is an unchecked exception. So catch runtime exception here and always add a error message. If things go wrong, we don't even know. So here I'm saying error in net banking client service, and I want to say plus E. And in this case, tell me, what should I return? Here, I'm returning a response entity, but containing error response, or we have a global handler. Exactly. I got this, Yogesh. But I said, you can do it in a global handler manner also, but I'll tell you a problem in that. Just a second. I'm so glad that you realize this. So here, where's my global handler? We have this global exception handler. And here, which is that error, it is going to be this is internal server error. So since we are doing the REST template to, REST client to REST server business for the first time, I'm overriding this, I'm handling it. And after this works in a proper manner, I will remove that try catch block and let it be handled from here. 100% fine, no problem. Or you want it right now? Okay, let's do it right now. It's why waste time. So I'll get rid of it. So I won't do that. Now, what I have to return is the response. Since we have it already, I was going to do it in 2 steps. First, show you in the local manner and then different manner. So are we done here? I think we are done here. So let's go to your net banking client, the controller, I mean. Just keep track of it, whether I'm doing things correctly or not. Yeah. And here I'm saying response entity dot okay. Just a second. So here, this itself is returning me the response entity. So I don't require it at all. Okay, so remove this wrapper. I already have got it from the lower level. Okay, so I think we are done here. We have yet to test, of course. This is the most advanced thing I can think of. So what is happening is one REST application is making the call to another REST API, right? So what I realize is this is anyway returning response entity. Why put it further that way? Have you finished typing? Completed? Are we ready to test? I hope it is interesting enough for you. Advanced, I hope. Of course, it is confusing, advanced and all, but at least let us give it a try. So you tell me, what should I start first? REST client or REST server? Of course, REST server. Everyone knows it. So guys, be careful. Now you are going to launch 2 Tomcats, 2 web server on the same host. That is why we have changed the port numbers. So please go to NetBanking REST server, run as Spring Boot app, watch the console. Don't do the casual testing or whatever. So I can see started this application on port number 7070. Looks fine. Okay. So no exceptions here. I'm clearing the console. Now tell me, which is the other application I have to launch? Everyone knows the answer. The net banking client application, right? So let's run net banking REST client. I hope you have changed the port number. In my case, one is running on, I guess, 8080, one is running on this thing. So Spring Boot app, check the console. So I can see employee controller, net banking client controller and all that. And it is running on 8080. So tell me, is your server app, again REST API, client app, REST API, are they both up and running? No errors so far on the control, on the console. Okay, so you can clear this console also. So guys, I hope you realize, can you see where my cursor is? You can see a drop down list on the console. There are 2 consoles. One corresponds to REST client, one corresponds to REST server. Everyone is seeing that? Okay. Now open the Postman and tell me, this Postman will be replaced by, you take it up as a React practice or whatever. Here, that will be replaced by your React frontend. So here, are you going to contact 70/70, or in my case, the other one is 80/80? Which one? The front end. Front end means that net banking REST client, you are right. So let's change this. I'll another open this. Let this be, because in case it doesn't work, we have at least. So let's change this post HTTP. So I have this a different one. Please don't make mistakes. Don't go by memory at all. Go by your actual understanding. So I'm opening the REST client, net banking /bank /ACCPS. So /bank /ACCPS, but the login request data I have used the same. So the body part, raw, JSON, and here I think it is having that customer ID and all that. Customer ID and the password. So let's try this. Pick it up from the database. I hope you are getting the feel of actual distributed application and all that. And here it has to work, of course, and the password. The same DTO I'm using, so the names and all, property names are all the same. So where's that password? I gave HDFC 001. Yeah, the password is something. And you check, is it working, or we have to debug. Not bad at all. I mean, it doesn't generally work with the things. So 200, okay, that itself is a hopeful situation. And here, let me pick up this and let's see whether we got the end-to-end job done. And we can congratulate ourselves for this. This is not an easy feat at all. I will never undermine saying that what we did was extremely easy and you have to immediately understand. But did you get the impact of what just happened? Your Postman client sent the response to one REST API, which was net banking client. And that net banking client is, this is nothing but the heart of microservices architecture, guys. So one microservice making a call, one REST service making a call to another one using, of course, Java API. So I've got this customer name and I hope I've got all her accounts picked up correctly. So Rama and her accounts were 10,000, 5,000, 10,000. Yeah. So just tell me, is it working for you? So are you getting the, what do you say, advanced level of coding what we are doing? So it is absolutely, feel free to feel lost. As in, when I say this, what I mean is, it is okay if you don't understand all of it. Just 1%, 2% is fine. I know it is heavy. So this one, Aman, tell me, if you are learning something close to services architecture, of course it is going to be heavy. So take your time, use it. And if you want to use it in your project, I'm not at all saying, not just Java, anything provides it. For example, Node, for example, ASP.NET, and of course Java. Okay, so all the technology will provide. Yeah, I'm happy to see this, Yogesh. So the point is, it is done. Last one point and we are stopping. So this is not a difficult one now. Don't get worried about it. So we can stop. Can you see there is a two stop this. So stop server, stop client. I just want to ask you one question and that's it. I'll not start a AOP or any no new topic, obviously. Last question, and I hope you'll understand it. Simple question, simple answer. Hard coding the URLs right in the Java code. Desirable or undesirable? 100% undesirable. Why? Because today you have a locally hosted REST API. Imagine that you apply it, you create a Docker image, if you know what I'm talking about, and if you deploy it in somewhere AWS or Azure, any cloud, so or any remote server, you'll have to make the changes. So what is better? Hard code it in Java code or add it in a property file so that I just have to touch the property file. Everyone obviously knows the answer. Putting it, externalizing the URLs, adding it in a property file is 100% a recommended stuff. So let me not waste too much time. Just pick it up. Let's do it a little faster. So take this up and go properly to front end application REST client. And where are we? SRC main resources and application property file. And here give a comment. So REST client, let's client side URLs. Okay. So I'm just pasting it here. And this is a value. Give it to some name. So let me call it as authentication URL. Tomorrow we are definitely starting with Spring Security. We have to. So, but I'll not show it in such a complex demo. I'll take small demos to explain the Spring Security, which you can definitely add to your project. Anyway, so this is your authentication URL, key and a value pair. So tomorrow, if the net banking server API details change, what will change? Key, value, both or neither? Only the value. So in that service code, what is it we will be using? Auth URL as a key, or will we use the value? Obvious questions I'm asking, end of the day. So I have to ask you a simple question. Auth URL. Is there anything special about it? Absolutely not. It is telling you this is unknown property. We are saying, yes, we know that this is our own property we have added to the centralized application property file. And like how we have, what is it called? Dynamic expressions, curly braces in React, the JavaScript expression. Like we have JSP-EL syntax, I'm showing you just a flavor of Spring expression language. So what I'm saying is, I want to inject this particular property value in my service. So this point I will revise tomorrow because I know I'm taking it in a fast manner. So what is the annotation to inject the value of the property or value of anything? The name of the annotation itself is @value read. So it is from OS. Annotation used at the field or the method or the constructor level to indicate that default value expression for annotated element. Okay. And if you see the @value annotation, just a second. I'll just import it. And here, if you see, it has got a value, which is nothing but read this. This is nothing but the actual value expression is the placeholder, property placeholder. So you can create your own property file. I'm not doing that, otherwise too much this. But here, what goes inside is a spell. Spell is nothing but Spring expression language, which is part of not Spring Boot, but the Spring Core container, Spring expression language, which is very similar to your JSP-EL. Okay, so here it is dollar and curly braces. And what goes in is the name of the property. So the name of the property is authentication URL. So what is it we are injecting? We are injecting the value of authentication URL. And what is it? I'm injecting it in a string. So because I don't want to hard code it. So I can say authentication URL. And this is again our good old dependency injection. So what is it we have done in a minute? I just added a new property. Property name can be anything, ABC, but don't give it ABC. Later, you'll not know what it is. And here, I've supplied the value of my backend API. And how to access it? Extremely easy. You use Spring expression language syntax, which is the annotation to inject the value @value. And like how we have @query where we add a JPQL, here you have @value. You inject the name of the property in a Spring expression language manner. Okay, so here now no hard coding required. Absolutely hard coding. I mean, all bad practices we are discarding, and what you are going to replace it by is the authentication URL. So I'll just confirm it once because In case it doesn't work, null pointer and all, I should know what the value is. In short, the value injection, dependency injection has worked or not. Done this. This was the last thing of today. Instead of hard coding the URIs or URLs to be this thing, we're just putting it in a property file so that next time, anytime my server changes from localhost to remote host, AWS or whatever, I mean, any remote host, anytime my port number changes, I don't have to make the changes in Java code. That's the whole thing. So now, last thing, start the server. First, start the server. Then let it start peacefully. You are starting the server side application, backend basically. Clear the console. Start the net banking REST client. Don't start the server twice. You will have a port clash issue. Same application, two applications running on the same port. So we ran this also. And now go to your this thing. And here, maybe you can change the customer ID to that other one. I've got two customers here and we'll change the password also. I mean, I'll take the correct password so that you'll know whether it is really working. Okay. And try sending a request. And we are lucky in the sense, see, because there are so many scopes of errors and all that. So this is all showing you the details. Confirm it before dispersing. So tell me, is it working all right? That Kiran has got only two accounts. One is saving, one is, I mean, I don't know your data. It all depends on your database data. Did it work after, what is it called? Changing it? I mean, after removing the hard coding, is it working fine? Tested okay. So that will be all for today. Again, you have got a lot of things to revise. The most interesting thing, I hope you found it. I mean, the communication or the, calling one REST API from another REST API in Spring Boot technology. So tomorrow, I'm wrapping up. I'm stopping here. Tomorrow, we'll definitely start with something called as, it's an exam objective, Spring AOP. And then remaining day, I want to show you Spring AOP, image handling, and what else? Yeah, mainly Spring security. So image handling, I'll keep it as a second priority. First, we will start and explain all the things in Spring security. And then in the remaining, if time remains, image handling. So then I would have covered all your important topics. And day after, I'm planning to keep all exam objectives, including pending topics in core Java and some pending topics in advanced Java. So that will be all. I'll create a zip of, okay, I'll be anyway uploading the data. I'll send both the updated projects right away. I was going to say that. So 2 minutes, later even I forget to put it on the Google Drive. 2 seconds, I will create directly day 20 folder, day 20 lab data, and I'll upload it on the Google Drive itself. And here, let me copy last both. And let me upload it so that even those who have already left, I can see people left, I'll put it on our Google Drive directly. Okay. So anything else from my side? So that will be all. Take full rest, as you know, not representational state transfer, proper relaxation. And anytime you want to revise. It never got. Did it get uploaded or did it not? Oh, it got. So I have uploaded, guys, day 20 lab data zip, which has the front-end project and the back-end project. Net banking client, net banking server, both exist. That will be all. See you tomorrow. Come mentally prepared. Tomorrow and day after, only 2 days I'm there to hassle you, trouble you. So stretch yourself. You have been stretching. Thank you so much for that. But the point is, stretch a little bit so that we'll finish the Spring security, the major topic, which is a project technology basically again, and I'll show you further things. See you around.